Hey freaks and friends, welcome to day 9 of the Dirty One Days of October. The daily content continues as we continue on with the Halloween 45 years special. Today we are picking up where the last film left off, and then we're going to take a really hard left right. Has my stance on Halloween 5 softened at all over the last 3 years? We're going to find out. Let's go. Make sure to stab that subscribe button and slash that bell icon so you don't miss out on this daily Halloween content all through the month of October. Halloween 5 was released October 13th, 1989, and directed by Dominique Othenin-Girard. Writing was handled by Othenin-Girard, as well as Michael Jacobs and Shem Bitterman. And the film stars Donald Pleasence, Danielle Harris, Beau Starr, Wendy Kaplan, and Tamara Glynn, with a small special appearance by Ellie Cornell. Halloween 5 picks up with a pretty cool follow-up to what had happened at the end of Halloween 4. We're also getting a cool little intermission of Jack-o'-lantern being carved and stabbed up. That's a pretty cool opening. We sort of see again the events of Halloween 4 ending, where Michael is shot by police, falls into a manhole, and apparently this time they decided to drop some dynamite in there. But before the explosion, Michael seems to be crawling out of the butthole end of the manhole. It's sort of interesting, kind of dirty, but hey, that's all good fun. And the explosion propels him into the lazy river, where he makes it all the way down before he's caught by this cool little safety net. Michael then ends up coming across a little mountain man hiding out in the middle of the woods, and proceeds to fall unconscious for the next year, where he is taken care of by this mountain man. That is what I call Myers' Bride of Frankenstein arc, but we'll talk more on that here in a minute maybe. And a year passes. Jamie Lloyd is now at a children's clinic, very similar to sort of how her uncle had been when he was younger, but much less severe, as the foster mother is now alive following the ending of Halloween 4. But she develops a sort of psychic bond with her Uncle Michael, and she feels him waking up. She's trying to warn everybody, but guess what? She can't talk now. And that, I think, opens some pretty cool opportunities for Danielle Harris. We'll talk more about that here in a bit. But Michael wakes up, kills the mountain man, makes his way back to Haddonfield, where he's out for his revenge, as this is the revenge of Michael Myers. It all culminates in a showdown with him and Dr. Loomis once again. There's a bit of confusion. Of course, this comes down to the writing front. That's something else that we're going to really have to talk about near the end of this video. Taking a look at cast and characters, we're going to start, of course, with our boy Donald Pleasence playing Dr. Loomis. At this point, he's far off gone. He's lost it. He's dealing with some PTSD of his own at this point. He's pretty confident that Myers is coming back, and he knows that he's gonna kill everyone who gets in his way once again, as Myers does. That's basically been his sort of main character piece throughout the whole franchise. He shows that he is definitely not the most stable or calm person either, especially anytime he tries to confront Jamie to talk about Michael. Like, he's getting in her face, yelling at her, screaming. You can smell the bourbon through the screen, honestly, at this point. But it's definitely a fun performance from him. Not the best. I really love the sort of way he behaves when he does the showdown with Myers. It is a little, like, fucking absolutely insane when he's like, "Here's the little girl, come and get the little girl." It's like, that's some fucking scary shit, honestly. But I love when he grabs the 2x4 and the chain drops on Michael. He's just fucking whooping him, dude. We all know that Donald Pleasence actually broke Don Shank's nose there. And it was even a fucking nice safety 2x4 with the rubber padding or something like that. Dr. Loomis dies until the next film. But, yeah, no, he was totally supposed to die here from a stroke or a heart attack, if I remember correctly. I still like to keep that as canon, that, yeah, he totally had a stroke, but survives. But, of course, this was supposed to sort of be his grand goodbye. Would have been interesting to see what would have happened going forward if they had done a different Halloween 6. Yeah, Donald Pleasence's Dr. Loomis role here is probably the most interesting, most exciting, but definitely not his best performance. Danielle Harris as Jamie Lloyd in here, a lot of people, and including myself in the past, have given her flack for well, she doesn't really talk a whole lot in here until about the halfway mark, a little after that at least. You know, I've come to sort of appreciate her performance a lot more, where she has to emote without being able to speak, and I think that she really did pretty great in here, honestly. I think her performance in this is better than her performance in Halloween 4, which is still a very good performance there. But that she's supposed to sort of carry the film as the main character in here, using minimal dialogue. Her best friend is a stutterer, which I think is a pretty cool little pairing there. You got the girl who's trying to regain her speech, and the kid who trips through his speech. So it's definitely an interesting little duo. It's kind of up there with See No Evil, Hear No Evil. But yeah, no, I think she's pretty good in this one. She definitely sells the fear factor once again, especially in the third act when she's climbing through the laundry chute. That whole scene is freaking insane. And even the cringy Uncle Let Me See, Uncle Boogeyman, like even in that scene right there, as much as I don't hate or despise that scene, I don't know, I feel like I'm just indifferent to it at this point. But her performance in that scene, I think, is pretty great. I mean, she sells the heart and emotion that they were trying to go for. If they'd have wrote it better and maybe shot that better, didn't have Michael cry, that would have been okay. Let's talk about Tina. Wendy Kaplan is Tina. I'm sorry, haters. I love Tina. I have for a while. Like, she can be annoying, but it's really the bumpada, bumpada, bumpada. You take that out, Tina's just fine. You gotta understand, as a horny teenager, she is fucking not thinking about being a maternal caring figure. As far as she knows, Rachel's still alive, so she doesn't understand that she's relegated to the grown final girl in this film. And she just wants to have fun. That's just kind of how the 80s was. It was that sort of, I think the 70s was the me decade, but this was like that excess decade. She's still trying to get in on that excess, you know, and Tina's an interesting character. I think she's really hot too, so maybe that's why I'm taking a little extra softer stance on her, but it's not soft. Jokes aside there, Tina's a pretty good character. I think you can tell that Wendy Kaplan was having fun in here, and you know, that's really all you could ask for when a series gets this far along, that the cast is having fun, and all the other characters in the film I think are pretty serviceable for their roles. Tamara Glenn as Samantha I think is pretty great. Spitz is kind of stupid. The laugh is just fucking get out of here. We of course have the clown cops. No, those guys suck too. I did notice though on the Scream Factory copy here, looking real close, you could see that the Italian officer there, fucking dude's got a little hand tattoo there. Never noticed that on the Anchor Bay DVD, but yeah, it's like, wow, you got a cool little cross tattoo right there in the web of your hand. I don't know, just one of those little minor details that I picked up that, I don't know, that was pretty cool. But yeah, Billy's probably the only other character that really stands out. Again, I've already mentioned the sort of see no evil, hear no evil type pairing of him and Jamie. And, oh yeah, the boyfriend, Mike. Interesting character. I kind of like the inclusion of him only for the whole little scene that really comes later where Tina's in the car with Myers. So I thought for that Mike served a pretty cool purpose there. But speaking of Mike, let's use that to segue into the man of the hour. That is, of course, Uncle Michael Myers. Family man still. He just wants to spend some time with his niece, get to know her a little bit, maybe kill her, because, you know, that's sort of his whole MO at this point. I think Don Shanks did a pretty okay portrayal here. He didn't really bring anything new to the role, save for a brooding stature. Definitely shows that no matter how long Michael's asleep for, he stays in shape. If not, it puts him in better shape, as we saw in Halloween 4. A 10-year coma put him at peak performance. 1 year of sleep, he just bulked up. Yeah, as much as we all joke and talk shit about Michael and the Mountain Man, I think that there is a bit of a similarity to the Bride of Frankenstein when the Frankenstein monster encounters the blind man in the woods. There's sort of a little connection there, and I've pointed this out before, and I feel like that's something they could have utilized a little more, but I kind of respect that they just tip their hat to it. You don't want to characterize Myers too much, but that's one of those things I can't help but notice. Like, Othon and Gerard was probably watching Bride of Frankenstein while he's writing this, like, yes, put this in. We put this in the movie. It's going to be great. Yeah, all the Myers stuff in this was, I don't know, it was okay. It's not, again, not the best performance for Myers. The mask is okay. It's kind of bad, but, you know, if you see him from a distance or you're only seeing, like, hand shots of Myers, it works. And my justification for why the mask looks like it does, like, if we're sticking to suspension of disbelief, I'm just saying that this is like the waterlogged mask. It's the same one from Halloween 4. We all know it's really not. But I see it as being just that mask, but water damaged. Does it make sense? Probably not, but that's how I've justified that. And the kills that Myers gets in this one are pretty cool. You could tell that they're sort of really trying to pick up on some of this action they've been missing out on in the 80s. But this is coming to the point where the MPAA were slicing the kill scenes down quite a bit, but Myers is getting pretty creative with the tools that he uses to end his victims. Pretty solid kills for the most part, but they're kind of weak when you look at the fact that they're cutting out the gore. The kill for Rachel I thought was pretty cool, albeit a disservice to her character. I will acknowledge that, yeah, Rachel was done dirty by this one. But yeah, I do like Myers using weapons that are not just the kitchen knife. Like, the scythe I thought was a pretty cool inclusion there. I don't know, Don Shanks, I think we are a little too hard on him sometimes. He's a serviceable Myers. So taking a look at the mood and atmosphere in this film, I think, starting with the cinematography, I think that it's pretty good. It's sort of par for the course at this point. Nothing too creative. It definitely does have that European flair coming from Othon and Gerard, which I think is pretty cool to add to this one. And that's kind of one thing I do when I watch this, is like, I try to mentally disconnect it as being a Halloween film. Like, I try to think of it as like its own thing in sort of a fucking god-awful Edge of the Axe kind of way. I don't know, I feel like if this one wasn't a Halloween film, this would have been a lot more interesting. That's not really the point there, but this film looks pretty good. It's definitely got that fall atmosphere on high. Again, that sort of European feel I think comes from using more of the rural countryside Haddonfield. I thought that was pretty cool. Very, they had a little too much daylight though in this, and daylight can work in Halloween, but it just didn't feel like I don't feel like Othon and Gerard really had the feeling for how to make Halloween work in the daytime, where we have seen it work with, of course, the first film and Halloween 4. Here it's just kind of alright there. One scene I particularly like with its little tension and suspense and whatnot is the scene where Jamie is up in her room and she sees Michael out in the lawn at the clinic, and she goes, for whatever reason, goes downstairs to try and fucking run out the front door, I guess. But she feels like Michael is coming in after her. We get that chase through the basement. I like the way that the score sort of slows down there too. Of course, it's a fake out scene, but I always thought that one was pretty solid. Definitely shook the shit out of me the first time I saw this film. Of course, the laundry chute sequence that in the third act, that was pretty great. Can't praise that enough. Honestly, that's probably one of the 31 best moments of the franchise. Come back and we'll find out on that. But yeah, I do like the way the score is sort of redone here too, except for the fucking Cops theme song. I don't know. I wish they had sort of done something with that in the new release there and sort of cleaned that sound up. Put something else over that instead of that fucking damn circus clown music. But yeah, no, the score overall, I kind of like, again, the way that it sort of slows down. It feels like that Alan Howarth is playing it in a different key, maybe. Again, I'm not the most musically inclined individual, but he's definitely doing something different with it that I find a lot of appreciation in. Just, again, sort of the slowing it down, sort of softening it. I don't know, just really cool shit with the score here. So I've said before that this is one of the later Halloween films I saw. It was before I saw Halloween 3, but it was also before Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie came out. Obviously, it was before the David Gordon Green Blumhouse films came out. And, you know, it was one that I was curious about for quite a few years. I always thought by looking at the cover that it went into sort of some background details on Myers, because looking at Jamie Lloyd there on the cover, like, I always thought that was like Little Myers whenever I would see like the VHS tape in the stores. Of course it's not that, but you know, you can't blame a young kid for fucking trying. But I wasn't completely against the film when I first saw it. I thought it was pretty cool that it brought in some elements that I was somewhat familiar with and questioning when I had first seen The Curse of Michael Myers as a kid, where we get the introduction of the Man in Black here. I think we're all on the same page, honestly, when it comes to the Man in Black. They didn't really do a whole lot with here. They just brought him in to say, hey, look at this little bit of mystery that we're just going to throw in here because we're writing this movie as we go along. I thought it was pretty cool the way that he comes in the ending there. When I first saw this one, I didn't really particularly hate it. In fact, I liked it quite a bit, but sort of as the years go by and you eventually acquire all of the films and you sort of watch them in their respective sequences, they all end up bringing a certain different revisitability factor, a different weight that they bring to the series and to the experience of watching each one. This is one that I feel doesn't really work so well in the context of the Thorn trilogy, although I still will watch it because I'm a Thorn fanboy. Even if the trilogy doesn't make perfect fucking sense, I'll still go back and rewatch that and love almost every minute of it. There's probably about 85 minutes or so where I'm a little, what the fuck is this? Why? But no, this is one that I find actually works a little better on its own. Again, sort of looking at it as sort of its own thing. Again, you gotta mentally dissociate it. It's not Michael, it's just some random crazy. Like, if you look at it as being more of a Halloween ripoff type of film, I think is sort of where you find this one actually does have a pretty good story. Although, the writing as we shoot, that kind of hurts the film a little bit, I think. But this is one that I don't mind revisiting. Like, I've definitely come to hate it a little bit less than I have over the years. Like, I can't even say hate's the right word for this film anymore. It's just one that, it's there, I can appreciate it, I'll go back and watch it sometimes. Like, I find myself recently actually getting in that weird, you know what, let's watch Halloween 5 kind of mood. It's a new experience for me. Don't hate it, don't love it, but I like it enough to revisit. Again, it doesn't thread too well in the context of being part of a trilogy within a franchise, but it's an entertaining enough watch. So at the end of the day, guys, Halloween 5 is going to get 3 Crybaby Uncles out of 5. So that was my reevaluation on Halloween 5, guys. As always, I want to thank you all for watching. Please be sure to play with the icons down there. Hit the bell, stay notified so you don't miss out on a single day of this daily Halloween content. And I will be seeing you guys tomorrow. Peace.